Hi, welcome to our shir, Parshas Shemos, Sefer Shemos, Tafshin Pei Aleph. And we have one of the longest dialogues in the Torah between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu attempts to persuade him, and ultimately successfully, of course, to take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim. And Moshe Rabbeinu is very reticent to do it. And one of the reasons he gives, if we take a look in Perek Daled, we go to Pasuk Yud. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, "V'yomer Moshe el Hashem, Bi Adoni lo ish dvar manoichi." He says, I just can't do it. I'm not a man of words. Gam mitmol, gam mishulshom. Yesterday, the day before, gam yoz dibarti el avedechad. From when you've spoken to me, ki kfad peh kfad loshen anoichi. I'm a kfad peh. He's, they say, slow of tongue, slow of language. He wasn't able to, whatever disability he had, it wasn't for him. And he couldn't say it in a way that he felt that he could persuade Paro. And he said this to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no problem. I can heal you. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'yom Hashem Elav, Mi son peh Adam. Who exactly made the mouth of a person? O mi yasum ilaim, or who makes a person who's nebuch toib? O cherish, or somebody who's deaf? O pikeach, o iver, somebody who's lame. Anoichi Hashem, I'm the one who can do it. V'ata, now I'll heal you. Leifa anoichi ayim picha. Hashem says, no problem. I can take care of this. You're a kfad peh. You're going to be the world's orator, right? You're going to have great oratorical skills. You'll be able to say exactly what you want. I'll take care of you. And Moshe Rabbeinu incredibly doesn't want it. And Moshe says to him, no. He says, shlach no, the famous words, V'yom bi'adoni shlach no bi'ad tishlach. Send somebody else. And now HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yachal becomes upset. V'yicharaf Hashem b'Moshe, v'yomer haloi arnachicha halevi, arnachicha is going to be coming to you. Yadati ki yadaber hu, he'll do all the speaking. Hinehu yaitz likrasecha rav samach b'libay. And he's happy. He's happy with it. So no problem. So we've said that before Shemi asked, what was Moshe Rabbeinu? He had the opportunity. He's suffering. He's a man, 80 years old. And the opportunity to save the Jewish people. And Hashem's going to heal him from something that he had his entire life. Why would he turn it down? So he said that the reason, perhaps, is that, we saw in the Beforshim, that how did he become a kfad peh? How did that happen? So we all know the story, when we all know from when we were kids, right? One of the famous stories. That Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was a child, he grew up in the house of Paro. And Paro sat upon his throne, right, with his crown, and little Moshe is running around there, 2 years old. And Moshe Rabbeinu runs over, and he pulls Paro's crown off. And they're ready to kill him. And the Malach comes and he says, no, don't kill him. He's a child. He doesn't know what he's doing. And Paro says, I don't know, he seems pretty smart to me. So he says, I'll tell you what. We'll make a test. We'll put over here a diamond, and we'll put over here a hot coal. And that'll be the test. If he goes to the diamond, it means he's a smart kid. He knows the difference. Okay, then you can do away with him because he's a married b'malchus, even at that young age. But if he goes, he burns himself on the coal, then you don't got anything to worry about. He's just a kid. He didn't realize what he was doing. Paro says, fine. So little Moshe goes, and he's going to go take the diamond because he was Taka's smart kid, and he did know what's going on. And the Malach came and knocked his hand, and he touched the coal. And the Chazal say he touched the coal. What happens if a person touches the coal? He burns his finger. He puts in his mouth in order to cool it off. And when he put it in his mouth, he burned his tongue. He burned his mouth. And he wasn't able to speak anymore. It took away, it made him a kfad peh. Azezok the Medrash. That's how he became a kfad peh. So they say that the pshat was, the Moshe Rabbeinu said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you want to heal me? I have a problem. I don't know. I don't think I should be healed. Why? Because when you did that for me, you saved my life. You sent the Malach, you saved my life. I have hakaras hatov to you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. And you know how people are, we forget our hakaras hatov. We'd say, thank you, and we go on. I didn't want to be like that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You saved my life. I want to remember my whole life. So I don't want to be healed, because every time I can't speak straight, it reminds me of the fact that you did a chesed for me when I was a baby, when I was a 2-year-old. You did this chesed and you saved my life. And I never want to ever forget it. So therefore I make a siman. And the siman is the fact that I'm a kfad peh. And to give up that being kfad peh is not something I want, because then I'll be like everyone else and I'll forget all about it and won't thank you. So it's a beautiful machshava. And we said at that time that it's so important when HaKadosh Baruch Hu does a chesed, a person's in a chesed Rachmana litzlan, he's about to get slammed with another car, and someone the last second he turns away, and he doesn't. And we say, oh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you. Mamash was shaking like a lulav, and we say, thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 10 minutes later, we're driving, forget about it. And we said, no, that's not the way it was. We even mentioned that I once said this word by my son's, one of my daughters, by the ufra of my daughter's now husband, Baruch Hashem. And sitting next to me, I was sitting between Reb Meir Stern and another Rav, and he said to me, there was a Gadol who was saved from the Holocaust because he got a passport at the last minute. And he kept the envelope that the passport came in, and he put it up in his wall and he framed it. So you should never forget the chesed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for him. The chesed HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for us, we must never forget. And the truth is, you can extrapolate that to any chesed that a person does for us, that we should never forget it, because once it's done, it's done. A person saves someone's life, you should always remember it. For their whole life they should be remembering, that person did that, he saved my life. A child, when he was in yeshiva, he was maybe not doing so great, and there was a Rabbi, they helped him, send him shalchmanos every year, because and that's how we learn it. But I want to give a different machshava now. Not just that we have to have that hakaras hatov, but it never stops. Think about it. When Moshe Rabbeinu had this ma'aseh happen to him, he was, I think they said, 2 years old. Moshe Rabbeinu is now 80. How many years before was that? 78 years ago. Do you know how long ago 78 years was? 78 years is a very, very long time. Let's work backwards. 2020 years. Let's go back another 60 years. That's 1940. So add 2 back, 78. 1942. I wasn't born yet. And I suspect most people listening to this share, and thank you all for listening, we're not born yet. So Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us another lesson, that not only must you never forget, but no matter how many years transpire between the time when a person has a chesed due to him, he has to remember it his entire life. Doesn't matter how many years. It can be 50 years, it can be 100 years. If he lives long enough, he's like Melech, he's a Mesushalach, 150 years, 200 years, 500 years, 900 years, doesn't matter. Once a person does a chesed, it's there forever. And you have to keep saying thank you. And never forget. And who are the people that we really have done the most for us, and that we have to have the most hakaras hatov for? Because that's what really we're learning here, the lesson of how primary hakaras hatov is. The Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to have a burned tongue because of the hakaras hatov. How much does he have to remember that hakaras hatov? Who does the most chesed for us? Our parents, our spouses, our children. Those are the ones we do tug taglach. I remember hearing from Victor Miller that the person who does the most chesed is a spouse, because just in the daily, pass the cereal Can you give me some milk out of the fridge? Chesed upon chesed upon chesed upon chesed. Your wife makes a beautiful meal for you for Shabbos. She toils over. It's right, we're by Shabbos now, Parshas Shemos. So she toils over the meal. Do we say thank you enough? Do we remember we got to say thank you? 20 years, oh, thank you back there. Remember back in Toshin Pei Aleph, Parshas Shemos, you did something wonderful? Thank you. Thank yous forever. 78 years. Still have to say thank you. Never years pass. We have a feeling, for reasons I'm not sure, is that once we say thank you, we're yaitza, we did our job, we did our duty. But that's not so. We see from Moshe Rabbeinu that he wanted to keep saying thank you to the Rebbeinu Shalom. He wanted to continue it, no matter how many years went by. So therefore, I think we've learned a tremendous lesson. Learned the lesson of the Hakaras HaTov is there forever. The parents who raised us, we might be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. We always have to be thanking our parents. Whether they're alive or they're not, they have to be thanked. Because they did chesed of the most incredible sort, selflessly, without any expectation. And that's how we always have to be there. We also have to be thanking our parents. That's part of Kibbut Av. Thanking our spouse. Thanking the people around us. Forever. And that's the lesson that we learn. And ultimately, the most we have to thank is the Rebbeinu Shalom. Because every single day that we are alive, I remember Victor Miller was talking about every day we should get up and say, thank you Hashem, I don't have a broken arm. Thank you Hashem, I don't have a broken leg. Thank you Hashem, I can perform bodily function. Thank you Hashem. It's just endless. But that's who we are as people. And that Hakaras HaTov we'll get next week. We'll come up to Moshe Rabbeinu. And Hashem will learn about the lesson of his Hakaras HaTov even to an inanimate object. He couldn't strike the water because the water saved him. That's mind-boggling when you think about how deep Hakaras HaTov. Hakaras HaTov is a fundamental of Yiddishkeit. And it's everything is based on our Hakaras HaTov. Every minute of every day. Hakaras HaTov, Hakaras HaTov, Hakaras HaTov. There is a Holfen. There should be Zoicha to always know how to be Makar Tov. And to establish relationships. It's true on a spiritual level, but it's also true on a very practical level. Because when somebody does something for you, and you don't say thank you, it's a relationship changer, and not in a good way. Appreciation. It's not just a word thank you, but it's a sincere appreciation. It's showing appreciation. That makes all the difference. Halavai, if we could all overcome our Yetzer Hara not to be Makar Tov, and our inertia not to be Makar Tov, and our forgetfulness to be Makar Tov, we can overcome that. We will have extraordinary relationships with each other, and extraordinary relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. And all of this was taught to us by Moshe Rabbeinu, who showed the way, who showed that Hakaras HaTov is saying you never forget, and you always remember. And as they said at the Sima Shas, it's never too much, and it's never too late. Have a good Shabbos. Parshas Shemos.